The Israeli Ministry of Education has informed schools that youth delegations to Poland that were planned for the next 3 months will be postponed or cancelled, as no agreement has been reached with their Polish counterparts regarding the content and security of the trips. Poland argues that it has handed its proposals to resume the trips last week, claiming that they were asking to add content to the trip, such as a meetup with Polish youth rather than omit existing parts. We're now joined by Dr. Efraim Zuroff. He's the director of the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Israel, and he joins us from Jerusalem. Thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome.
What is in the core of this dispute? Is it content or is it security issues that are preventing the two sides from agreeing on renewing these trips? Because in the meantime, so many Israeli youngsters are missing their opportunity on going and getting educated about what happened to the Jewish people on Polish land.
Well, I would say to you that the red lines on an issue like this are precisely the two topics that you mentioned. If the Poles are trying to interfere with the content, that would be a red line. And if the security of our children is being jeopardized because of measures that the Polish government want us to take, I would say the same thing.
But with regards to content, a meetup, for example, with Polish youth, for Israeli youth, I guess is a welcome step, right? They would have a chance to discuss history, to talk about the present, to talk about the future, to exchange their perspectives.
I'm not so sure about that. It might be good. Depends on the level of the students, their sophistication, what they know before they go. It's not an automatic plus, I would say.
What could be the negative sides to a meetup like this?
First of all, if the kids are not prepared, it very easily could deteriorate into a shouting match and to a very unpleasant encounter. Second of all, I'm not convinced that meeting Polish youth is such an important part of a trip to study the Shoah.
You know, a few years ago, a friend of mine, director Sagi Bornstein, made a documentary film using video clips from YouTube of teenagers that were visiting Poland and the concentration camps, and posted all sorts of video clips of theirs. Some of them, it seems, don't come extremely prepared and often treat it as an opportunity to try drugs for the first time or enjoy whatever alcohol beverages they can find, etc. Sometimes even doing dancing or etc. in concentration camps. So there's a lot of education that needs to happen on both sides. Maybe meeting their counterparts from Poland can actually make them understand new things about the reality and the necessity of these trips.
I doubt that very much. If these are the problems, the ones that you mentioned, the problem is not, in other words, meeting Polish kids is not going to do anything to solve those problems. Those problems have to be treated here in Israel before they leave.
Okay. It's still been a few months that Israeli delegations haven't been going to Poland. And I do want to ask about the security concerns, which we all share, of course. Is that due to new threats or any sort of increased statistics of anti-Semitic events and occurrences in Poland?
I don't think so. As far as I know, Poland does not have that many anti-Semitic events or vandalizations or things of that sort. That's not the problem. I don't know what requirements the Poles are asking when it comes to security. I'm not cognizant of the issues in that sphere. All I can say is that I wouldn't want to do anything, or I wouldn't want to do anything to endanger our kids. Wherever they go, whether it's a trip to Poland or a trip to Spain or a trip to Ethiopia.
Certainly. And I want to use the opportunity that we're speaking to you to ask you also about the comments made by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Berlin just a couple of days ago. I understand you were speaking about that today at Yad Vashem. We've seen Abbas' comments about the Holocaust, and we've seen his apology as well. Is that satisfactory to you?
I think it's total bull, his apology. It's absurd. First of all, the issue, I would say to you, they're hopeless, the Palestinians and their leadership. As a matter of fact, Palestinian Media Watch yesterday published a long list of comparisons that they've made either in El Hayat al-Jadida, which is the Palestinian Authority's newspaper, or Palestinian leaders like Jibril Rajoub and others who compare us to Nazis, who talk about Holocaust. This is a incurable disease among the Palestinians. The issue is, what will the European countries do in response to a thing like this? They have no problem sending millions of dollars to the people who say these things. That's the problem.
And you know, there's also another side to this. I've read, for example, Raviv Drucker, Israeli political analyst, yesterday saying, you know, leave Abbas alone. He is talking also in that same press conference about the desire to sit for negotiations with Israel, to come to a two-state solution. So he misspoke, perhaps, but we shouldn't disregard him as a partner. How do you feel about that?
Well, Avi Yisacharov wrote an article, I think it was today, saying that Abbas has saved many lives because of the security cooperation. So this is part of the problem. In other words, on the one hand, there is security cooperation with Fatah, and as Avi Yisacharov says, lives have been saved. On the other hand, I think that the expressions that Abbas and other people like Jibril Rajoub and others express, they're expressing their deepest dreams and desires that will disappear, quite frankly. Now, I don't understand how the European Union, members of the European Union, can send millions of dollars to an administration that has rejected 3 offers of a Palestinian state, is encouraging terror, paying terrorists. Unless they're paying them off not to do terror piguim in their country, which is outrageous. Okay. Absolutely outrageous.
Dr. Efraim Zuroff, director of Simon Wiesenthal Center in Israel, joins us from Jerusalem. Thank you very much for being with us today.
You're welcome.